Thank you, Amir, for being with us.
You're welcome.
So first of all, I would like to know a little bit more about the company. What do you do?
Okay, so NICE Actimize does one thing, and one thing very well. We build software for banks to help detect financial crime, which is compliance issues, fraud issues, money laundering issues, and help the banks stop those incidents before they occur and become more painful.
And how do you see, how have changed all these criminal activities in the financial sector during the last decade?
So it changed a lot. It became much more professional, much more organized. Today you have organized crime behind most of the attacks. It became bigger. Think about Kerviel in France and what happened there. That's a compliance issue. Think about a Ponzi scheme like Madoff. Think about internet fraud, which was not there, phishing and other attacks. So it's more professional, more global, and more painful.
Mm-hmm. And how does, for example, you mentioned Madoff, how your company could just help third financial institutions to avoid that case, that Ponzi scheme case?
So I'll give you a few examples, basic examples, if you like. One is internet fraud. Okay, take an internet fraud. Internet fraud attacks are when your information is being stolen by a really bad individual. They sell that information to another person who logs in on the internet pretending to be you and moving money away. Our system tracks what happens on the website, where the money is going, and compares the bad guy behavior to your typical profile, typical behavior. If it don't look alike, it's suspicious. We'll stop the transaction and let an investigator decide. That's one example in fraud. The other one will be insider trading, which is the very key thing with MiFID in Europe. And then we'll detect when the individual is trading stock ahead of a major market event, something he has never done before. So if you've never traded in a lot of money and one day you put $1 million buying a stock and magically the day after the stock is worth much more because of an M&A, it's likely to be insider trading or a lot of luck.
And also, we passed like a really big financial crisis. Does the number of clients have increased after this financial crisis?
Oh yeah, there have been two major changes in the market. First of all, the regulations and the compliance enforcement went up dramatically. We see major fines in the market. People get fines, for example, for allowing Iran to move money through the banking system via the sanction program, or because of insider trading incidents. The fines are dramatically higher. And the reason is the regulators believe that has to do to an indirect level with what happened in the economy. In addition, fraud, when the economy is bad, fraud goes up, including organized crime, financial fraud, etc.
And also, do you work with European banks right now?
Yes, we work with many European banks and regulators. So actually some of the governments are putting money to improve their technology. We just announced the FMMS, that's the Russian regulator for the trading markets, using our technology to monitor all the trades and look for issues. We work with banks across Europe like HSBC, RBS, Lloyds TSB, and including in Spain or Portugal, for example, with Caja Madrid or BES in Portugal.
And which kind of difference would you say there are between how the European banking system works versus the US banking system?
So every country in Europe has a local set of issues, regulations, issues, language related, etc. And that makes it much more interesting, complex, and exciting. There's still a commonality. The bad guys, organized crime, the mob are more or less the same worldwide. The macro regulations look the same, but the details are slightly different per country. So to be good at Europe, you have to know the German rules versus the Spanish ones, versus what the FSA is doing in London, and be an expert in each one in order to convert that into technology.
And how you develop that technology, that kind of products, that has to be adapted to those different works of operating?
So we believe in marrying the technology with the domain expertise. If you just have technology, it's not good enough. If you just have domain expertise, that's not good enough. So we have a very strong technology that can take a lot of data, transactions, trades, ATM, wires, internet transactions, run through them and find suspicious issues. The logic, what we find, is built by domain experts. And we have people that worked in Europe, compliance managers, fraud managers, that were working across Europe in various banks, and they tell the system how to work, and that's what we deploy at an institution.
And which kind of banks do you work here in the US? Because we're also seeing right now how the FBI it's investigating this big insider trading case. So I would like to know, if you cannot tell me names, how, for example, Actimize would be helping the FBI in this case? I don't know if it's happening, not happening, but I would like to get an approach like that.
Okay. So obviously I cannot give names, but I'll give you a statistic. 8 of the top 10 investment banks in the States use Actimize to run through the trades. All top 10 global banks use Actimice to look for financial crime issues. The CFTC, which is an American regulator for commodities and futures, using Actimice to look through the trades. And what we help them with is we take their data, run it through a very sophisticated engine, and tell them from 1 billion transactions, here are 10 transactions worth investigating, because something is suspicious. The behavior, the profile, the past does not match what's happening right now.
And also just a last question. After Actimice was acquired by NICE Systems, which are the benefits of working under the umbrella of a company that it's public?
Yep. So the benefits are actually, the strategic value we bring together is that we do intent-based solutions. Actimize is an expert looking at financial data and transactions and making the right decisions. NICE is doing exactly the same in video surveillance, in call center recording, and if you take all the data from the voice, from the web, from the video, from the ATM machine and combine it, you can find more issues. And that's the vision, that's the strategy, and we see that happening slowly in various areas.
So thank you for your time.
You're welcome.